our reporter Tondani Takalani, who's following the story for us and joins us live from Pretoria. Tondani, a very good afternoon to you. If you could give us a summary of just what was covered in today's security briefing. It covered a number of areas, including security, home affairs, etc.
That's true, Tammy. So, the security cluster ministers have given us some of the plans and measures they've put in place, ahead of the local government elections that are to be on the 1st of November. Among, some of those is that they've increased, the number of police officers who will be on the ground. Each and every voting station will have a presence of, police officers. But also importantly is that because of the lockdown, Home Affairs was only able to issue out temporary IDs to, potential voters and the public in general. So part of the security cluster briefing that we've just had was, also the aspect, the plans that Home Affairs has, to mitigate that backlog. So standing alongside me right now is Home Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, whom I will ask, you mentioned earlier, you outlined some of the plans that you put in place ahead of the elections. If you could just briefly give those to us again.
Yeah, what I was saying was, as you may be aware, that during the hard lockdown, certain services were not available in Home Affairs. Certainly, you couldn't get a smart ID or apply for a passport except under exceptional circumstances. But when the president announced that we are going down to lock level 1, those services became available. And because they were not available for a long time, a large number of people gravitated on Home Affairs offices in demand of those services. Home Affairs officials couldn't cope, and many unfairly returned people and cut queues very early and say we can't cope with them. So we said from the 18th of October, in order to deal with that, we increased the operating hours by 2.5 hours, so that they have more time to process people. We are now adding, we are saying on top of that, on the 30th of October, the 31st of October, which are special voting days, but also then on the voting day of the 1st of November, Home Affairs offices will all be open. All of them will be open, and their opening hours will mirror the operational hours of the IEC, so that nobody is disenfranchised by not having an ID or having lost it or misplaced it or some mishap having happened to it, will be ready to help. And that's exactly what we're announcing here today.
So the services that you will offer on the day or leading up to the day, are these only limited to the issuance of IDs, or are you covering all services that Home Affairs offers?
No, we'll be issuing smart IDs, we'll be issuing barcoded IDs, we'll be issuing temporary identification certificates. It's clearly about the elections, not about any other function.
What about potential, technical disturbances which are prone to happen around in Home Affairs? How are you going to mitigate some of these?
Well, yeah, we are in a very unfortunate position in Home Affairs, where lots of technical glitches happening elsewhere will affect us. Certainly, load shedding does affect us. We've tried to put generators in most of the mayor offices. There are very, very, very few small rural offices which don't have generators. Otherwise, most of the mayor offices do have generators. Number 2, we have got trucks on standby, which have got generators inside, inbuilt generators. We put them next to areas where services are needed. There are about 86 trucks in operation now. We'll also make sure that they are ready. But number 3, we also have technicians all over the country, because sometimes the downtown is something that is out of our control, it's not out of our making, but it needs technicians to help. Where it also becomes a crisis is when cables are stolen, and they get stolen time and again. And Home Affairs is in an unfortunate position there, whereby if any cable is stolen anyway, it affects us first, before it affects any other government department or state entity. So that's why we have got these trucks on standby. We have got officials, we have got generators, and we also have technicians on standby to see that if there's any small disturbance, then we rush in and solve it. Sometimes it's also networks, your ordinary cell phone networks. You know how often cell phones don't work. If cell phones don't work, there's no network, then Home Affairs is also affected, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for how long will you extend the hours? How long is this operation going to last after the election specifically? Or is it this only being done to focus on the elections?
No, the opening of all Home Affairs offices is focusing on elections, on the 3 days. But the extension of working hours, which started on the 18th, is going to be ongoing until we are sure that Home Affairs offices can cope. The thing is, we are dealing with a backlog of services which people could not access during hard lockdowns. So that one will go maybe up to December. Yeah.
Home Affairs Minister Dr. Ron Motsoaledi, thank you much for your time, really. He was part of that security cluster which gave us a briefing a short moment ago, saying unequivocally that, all the state security agencies are operationally ready to provide free, fair, and safe elections, Tammy.
Well, certainly all the measures been put in place to make sure that those who don't have their documents are ready for the 1st of November. Thank you.